Hey, thank you so much for joining us today for your 5 News coverage of this winter storm that we've been having. Stephen, impacting a lot of people out there. The roads snow covered and it's cold out there.
Yeah, very cold today, and really over the next several days, that's going to be the talker of how cold it actually is outside. Before we discuss the winter storm that came through, let's take a look across the area. A few of these cameras out there. We start with Fort Smith. Across the river valley, we had multiple hours with that freezing rain. Then we finally got some sleet. And then last evening, we finally got that burst of some snowflakes to come through as temperatures dropped cold enough. And now waking up this morning, if you went to bed last night, you were just starting to see some of the snowflakes. You see what we got. Generally less accumulation, far less accumulation than in northwest Arkansas, but still those snow-covered roadways out there this morning. Any type of precip that we did get, it is so cold out there now that is frozen solid to the roadways. So as long as those crews are still out there working very hard throughout the day today, that's going to be the main goal, getting this cleared up one lane at a time so we can try to open back up traffic once again. Here's a look there in Fayetteville. You can see some of the roadways there, little patches of it here and there, but overall still a lot of it snow covered because of now it's frozen to the road surfaces, making it slick outside. You got a layer of ice underneath that layer of snow as well. Going to be very difficult battling these temperatures, not only for today, but over the next several days. Again, we've been highlighting the fact that it's not going to climb above freezing until we get by the weekend. Now, here's a look at the Fulbright. This is one of our new cameras there. You can see maybe half of a lane open there, but overall, not much. Still, a lot of it snow coverage there. A lot of traffic moving slowly in and around that area. Good news is that I haven't seen many accidents around there. You know, at Fulbright, once we get some winter weather, this can be very tricky to get around as well. Let's cover the storm from yesterday, and then we'll move on to what is expected over the next several days. By the time we got to those snowflakes across northwest Arkansas, we had those snowflakes, and then the rest of the evening, we kept on working heavy band after heavy band, moving through portions of Benton, portions of Carroll, Washington, and Madison County. And that's why we got a lot of that high accumulation of that snow. Across the river valley, a little bit different story. Where we started off with that freezing rain, we started off with that sleet, and it didn't come until the evening hours that finally we made that transition over into a good burst of some snowflakes. That's why you'll see far less accumulation across the river valley than in northwest Arkansas, where we had a lot of that snow throughout the day. The concern is now that cold air that's blasting across the area. Wind chill values, what it feels like outside, anywhere from 0 to -15 in northwest Arkansas. Across the river valley, the opposite direction, still not good though. From 0 up to 15 degrees is what it feels like out there this morning. Bitter cold temperatures, need to cover up that skin as best as possible. But also, we have to look at the real temperature as well, because this is that pipe bursting cold outside. Please do me a favor, drip those faucets, open up those cabinets, let some warm air in, because this is not the headache that you want right now when we start to get that pipe bursting cold outside. The last thing you want to deal with is having to deal with that issue. So road conditions, dangerous cold, and that's what we're worried about over the next several days. Is how long is this going to take to clean up for those road crews to get those lanes back open? They're working around the clock, doing the best work that they can, but it's very difficult when all that precip that we did have is now frozen to those surfaces. Again, the things to remember, drip those faucets until we climb above freezing once again, or at least out of the negative territory when it comes to the wind chill values. Dress in layers and make those travel plans ahead of time. We have those closures today. I won't be surprised if tomorrow we have more of those closures as well. We want to see your photos. We want to see how much snowfall you got as well. Here's our phone number. You can send it in to us, 479-785-5000. Again, we're looking for snow reports. We're looking for those fun moments as well, playing in the snow. We're looking for any type of those videos you have as well, that snow coming down last night, or even waking up this morning to see what you got. Send it in to us. There's our number. You can text us your reports, your pictures, your videos. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to discuss the cold air that we are feeling right now, how long it's going to last, when we finally climb above freezing, and I have some great news for you. Next week, we've got 70s and sunshine in the forecast. That's coming up in just a little bit.
That's quite a difference there.
Yeah, I think we're ready for that one after this.
For sure. All right, well, this morning we definitely want to give you a check of the road conditions out there using our 5 News Storm Chaser.
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Scott Cover is out there. And Scott, we want to know where you're at and how it's looking.
Yeah, it's looking slick out here. We're on 5+, right, Tiffany? Joe, are we on channel 5?
We're on 5+.
Okay, we're on 5+. So I'm going to say whatever I want to say. Hey, Last night I said, hey, the roads are slicker than snot. Someone wrote me and complained. Let me just tell you, I've been out here all morning. They're slicker than snot. We're in Little Flock right now, headed towards Prairie Grove, and I'll tell you, you can find more traction on a buttered biscuit. It's slick out here. You're gonna have to be real careful. I'll show you the roads. This is some of the hills we're looking at over here in parts of Benton County, and it is just treacherous. Not only do you got snow, you got a layer of ice out on the roadways as well as we try to make our way up this hill. The other interesting thing, and it just goes to show you how wild the weather has been, a lot of these trees toppled over from the storms back in May, and now they're snow covered. We spent a lot of time on 49 this morning. It's not good. At points there are passable lanes, but it quickly deteriorates again. Seen a lot of snow plows out there, a lot of salt trucks, so I know they're trying to improve conditions, but it's just going to take some time. You get over to these secondary side streets, state highways, things that haven't really been touched yet at all. It's pretty rough out here. A lot of folks staying home, as you would expect, with the amount of closures that we've seen. This storm system was, obviously predicted days in advance. People probably altered their plans, made some schedule changes. So we're not seeing a lot of other cars out, but there are a few folks that have to get out and about and go to work, and we get it. A lot of folks doing the right thing. They're taking it slow. But occasionally you get some bozo just to blow through at normal speed limit, and that's just not the thing to be doing out here this morning. If you do got to get out and about, you need the four-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive. Even then, it's not exactly smooth sailing. We're in this souped-up Jeep that I just think most rednecks would be proud of. It's got gigantic mud tires. It's made for this type of weather, and even us, we'll have a little bit of issues with traction from time to time. So you want to take it slow, put a lot of space between you and any other cars that are in front of you, simply because the braking time is probably going to be a lot longer, just given how slick it is out here. So right now, checking on road conditions, Benton County, making our way over towards Prairie Grove. I apologize for letting my hillbilly show a little bit. I figured we're on here on 5+, so maybe the FCC rules don't apply over here on 5+. I'll try to not get fired today. We'll send things back to you.
All right, I think we identify there with Scott, right? I'm an
I
Oklahoma
liked it.
girl.
I liked the buttered biscuit. That was good. That was good.
It's good. All right, did you say we're going out to Morgan next? We'll check in with her. She is in Washington County. Did you say Travis?
Well,
All right, Travis
just kidding.
Cooper.
We're going to Sebastian County.
Travis Cooper, he is with Sebastian County Emergency Management. Hey, good morning, Travis. We want to check in with you because as people are waking up this morning, they want to know what those roads are like.
Yeah, good morning, guys. So looking at where we are in Sebastian County, just the Fort Smith and the Greenwood, Mansfield, Lavaca, Hartford areas, just know that last night we had snow flurries really start to pick up around 9:30, and then all of a sudden just blizzard-like conditions around 9:45 to 10 o'clock, and that went on for about an hour or two, and about 12:30 to 1 o'clock we had a house fire come out. And we had several crews out responding, and it was nothing coming down at that moment. We had about a quarter to a half inch of snowfall from that time period that fell last night. And what that left for us on the roadways was a snow-covered roadways, and then also our bridges and overpasses are our biggest concerns right now that we have as far as ice accumulation and then looking at just a safety measure on how do we commute and how do we get to work or get to our destinations today of taking it slow and being very cautious.
And so y'all had a busy night last night. Today, what is y'all's plan moving forward?
Yeah, so we always hope that people will stay home and not get out as much, but that's not always the case. We also understand that emergencies happen, and so as our crews get out and the fire last night was just a chimney fire, no major damage or injuries or anything like that. So we're very thankful, but we know that's going to happen again today. We also know that road crews are going to be out moving a lot slower than your other traffic possibly on the commute this morning. The traffic was moving around probably 30 to 35 miles per hour. And that's pretty good, pretty fast on the conditions that we have. So just be mindful of that, be a good distance from you and the other vehicle. But know that the road crews will be out probably even until 6 or 8 p.m. tonight, trying to put that chemical and product down probably sand on some of the bridges and salt on those bridges and overpasses to hopefully allow this ice accumulation that has packed here in the river valley to kind of start dissolve. And then once that does, then the plow trucks will get engaged and get that snow and ice off the roadways.
Yeah, and Travis, what is it like the next couple of days? Because we're not going to warm up anytime soon, and this may linger around. What does the response look like from Sebastian County Emergency Management in the next couple of days with any folks who, may get trapped out there, may need help? What's that response like?
Yeah, so our goal is just to help keep you guys informed, then also support our emergency services as much as possible. Last night, we actually seen the National Guard. They had 2 Humvees going down state highways, Highway 10 and 71, and just in the area. And so just know that there is resources out there if push come to shove, that you got stuck out there and that we needed to get to you. We probably could in a timely fashion. But just know that the ice patches are still going to be there in the days to come. The reason is the temperatures are our worst enemy right now, because it's around 16, 14 degrees out there in the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas areas. So just know that that's going to get lower as the day goes on over the night time and into tomorrow, especially single digits possibly. So just know that that's our biggest enemy. That's the thing that we're going to be fighting. The ice will probably be there, but it'll hopefully. Our goal is to be just in small patches here and there. The bridges and overpasses, again, is going to be our biggest concern, even into the next day or two.
Absolutely. Hey, Travis, thank you so much for being here. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. All right, our weather impact alert coverage here on 5 Plus continues with another live look outside.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley is joining us live. She's been out in Washington County all morning. And Morgan, we want to know what it's like for y'all.
Well, it's nice and warm for us. We've been inside here at the roads department throughout the morning, and if you take a look behind me, you can see where the trucks used to be. They had a little changeover that happened around 6 o'clock this morning, and that's because crews here are working 24 hours around the clock. So last night, their focus was plowing the snow off the roads, and then right now, their focus is treating the roads to try to melt some of that snow and ice. So we're going to be out here at the roads department throughout this morning, getting updates from the crews that are out there working. And one thing that is important to remember that we've been emphasizing all morning is when they're working to melt that snow and ice, it's probably going to clear up a little bit today, and it will take them a while, obviously, to get to all the roads. But even after that, we're going to take a step back as it refreezes overnight. So they're encouraging you to stay home to let these crews work. But if you do get out and about and you're noticing that the roads seem better later in the day, just keep in mind that with these freezing temperatures, that's not going to be the case when you wake up on Thursday morning. So really, they said we're looking at probably later in the day Thursday for the roads to really improve. But we're going to stay out here with keeping up with road conditions. And right now, by the way, if you're just tuning in Washington County, they're saying the roads are not good. Please stay home if you can. But for now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Morgan. And that is the case from Northwest Arkansas to the River Valley. Those roads not looking good.
Yeah, she definitely had some good advice there. And now we're going to go head out to Fort Smith, where 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer is out there. And Lauren, we want to know what it's looking like for you and drivers that are out there on the road this morning.
Yeah, here in Fort Smith, as the sun has started to rise, seems like there's a pretty good amount of people out here on the roads trying to maybe get to work. Definitely seeing some crews out here treating the roads. We've seen some snowplows, we've seen some RDOT crews up there just getting to the roads on the major highways. I will say there is a little bit of, I would call it slush on the roads right now if you want to pan off and show here. People just kind of taking it slow down Rogers Avenue here in Fort Smith. Not too many travel impacts we're seeing yet, but I think it goes to say that we probably should stay off the roads if you don't really necessarily need to go anywhere today. But not seeing too many impactful things just yet here, but we never know. We could see some more with the ice and the sleet and the snow that everything Fort Smith saw this past night. It did take a while for the snow to come down here. I think it started to really start coming down maybe around 8 or 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock last night once the sun went down. We were seeing a really big mix of sleet, snow, rain, freezing rain yesterday. We were seeing everything here in the River Valley, but I would say we have a pretty good, maybe ½ inch to an inch of snow here. It accumulated pretty well, but we're going to keep you updated on road conditions here in the River Valley for the rest of the stream. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks so much more for that. Now, we can't show you enough what it looks like outside, right? Because that's the big story. Let's go ahead and take another live look out there just to show you some more of the conditions that we're up against. People who have to get out today, get out on the roadways. Hopefully they get to stay home.
Yeah, I'm hoping a lot of people will. I think with working from home now and those opportunities, people will. But you've still got those essential workers who are out on the road this morning, or maybe someone ran out of something from the grocery store and they need that. So we're still seeing people out there. This is around that Fulbright Expressway, Fayetteville Johnson area from our Slim Chickens camera. And as you can see, this is always an area, especially that roundabout right there, where we see a lot of accidents. So people are taking it very slow.
We saw just overnight here on this curb right there heading south as you round that bend there where you see most of those cars are there. There were several wrecks, cars that actually went off the roadway. And they didn't look like they were, two-wheel drive cars. They looked like they were four-wheel drive, sort of slid off. We had emergency crews there helping those folks. So something as simple as this, that's what you're going to see.
Well, I know yesterday we were just driving around Springdale to get to the hotel by the station where we stayed last night, and it was trucks, 4Runners, cars that have that four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive Subarus that were sliding around a little bit. It would speed up a little bit, and then you'd kind of see them veering off into another lane. So definitely take it easy out there, no matter what car you have.
Absolutely. And don't forget to enjoy this winter weather as you can. Take a look at the downtown right here. I mean, this is beautiful. It's sort of like a picture-perfect moment, right? To take some snow winter pictures or just to look at. We also have some photos that have been coming into our newsroom here. You guys out there have been taking them, sending them in. Lots of pets. Love to see them out there in the snow.
Looks like we've got some sledding down there too. We're waiting for the snowmen pictures. We got a lot last time. We want to see those again. But this is just so fun to see how all of y'all are having fun out in the snow. We've got some people, it looks like, that have to be out on the road, sending pictures of the roads out there, so be careful to them. But
text them to us here. We want to see them. We have that number for you. All you got to do is send them like a text message, 479-785-5000. Just give us, a few tips of what you got there, who it is that's sending them in, where you took them, what's going on in the photo, and we can show them right here on 5 News.
yeah, we love seeing them.
All right, let's go ahead and take another look outside this morning. Is that what we're doing here? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a pause here for just a minute, but stay with us here on 5 Plus because we're going to be back in just a few minutes.
All right, here's a look at road conditions as we get closer towards that 7:30 hour. Got 3 accidents out there right now. One being reported near Winslow. That's on 49. That's going to be for the let's see here, northbound lane. Another one near West Fork. That's going to be also for, that's for the southbound lane. And then we have another accident on 72. That's heading up towards Pea Ridge. That exit there, you drive in and around that area, you can know that area gets really tricky. Lots of hills, lots of curves. Of course, that's going to be the worst to be driving on these type of conditions. We have lots of that snow-covered roadways out there. You see all those blue and pink shaded lines. That is either snow-covered or ice-covered. More of those pink shaded ice-covered roads across the river valley because, of course, we had more of that freezing rain and sleet before yesterday evening. We finally made that transition over into some of that snow, and when we got that snow, far less in accumulation than in northwest Arkansas, where we've seen most of the accumulation from that system. Let's take a look at what it currently feels like outside. This is where we are going to turn our attention to now. Now that the winter precip is done, the focus goes to how cold it's going to be outside. Right now we're feeling wind chill values in northwest Arkansas anywhere from 0 to -15 outside. That is where you're going to start to hear more and more of the talk of exposure outside, covering up that skin as best as possible. But it's also, you got to think of the real temperatures outside. Of course, our pipes don't feel like what it's going to be outside, and what matters there is what the actual temperature is. I just took a look offhand, and we have those actual temperatures in northwest Arkansas right around 0, 1, 2, 3 degrees across the river valley at least, or anywhere between around 10 degrees this morning. Here's a look at the coverage that we're going to be seeing later tonight, or excuse me, later this morning until 9 a.m.
Well, hey, welcome back here on 5 Plus. Thanks for joining us. We're continue covering everything out there that you need to know this morning as we're waking up to this winter weather event. The good news, it's stopped, right?
Right.
But now it's just those cold temperatures.
Oh, it is so cold out there. And that, I feel like, is the part that we've heard from many crews that's making it harder to clean all this up and get things back to normal.
Yeah, now that we're on 5 Plus, we got a little bit more time to go into detail about that type of stuff, even though it has stopped, right? The snow has stopped coming down, the freezing rain across the river valley, the sleet has stopped, and it's not coming back. I mean, we could see a few flurries here and there just because it's so cold outside, but outside of that, nothing measurable anymore. The issue is, it almost doesn't even matter that we're stopping it now. It's so cold outside that it is going to be very difficult to get the snow, get the freezing rain, get the sleet off the roadways because it's so cold outside. It is just packed down and frozen to those roadways. So when you take a look at RDOT and across the area, you see several accident reports there and got a few more in the past half hour or so. There is one near West Fork. Good news is the one near Winslow has been cleared up, and then 72 going up to Key Ridge. That is where you find some hills going up there, and you are seeing another one of those accident reports. Different story across the River Valley from Lamar to Knoxville, Clarksville area, all the way out to Ozark, into Rudy, Kibler, Van Buren, Fort Smith, Arcoma. You see a lot of that purple shading, still some blue mixed in there as well. But what that means is basically, you know it, you look outside, less in the way of snowfall accumulation, more in the way of that freezing rain and that sleet. It took a long time yesterday to finally transition over from that sleet and rain mix over into some snowflakes. Eventually we did by the evening hours, but then that accumulation, just not enough time to build that up. Still causing a lot of issues on those roadways. Going to take still just as long to get that cleared up as well. Let's take a look at current temperatures. Again, we've been showing you wind chill values all morning, but the current temperatures also playing a factor in this because this is what we call that pipe bursting cold outside when it comes to protecting your home, dripping those faucets, protecting those outdoor spigots as well. This is a big issue right now. Northwest Arkansas, real temperature there in Bentonville at 1 degree. Huntsville, real temperature at 0. Eureka Springs at 1.7 there in Fayetteville. Across the River Valley, anywhere between 10 up to 15 is what we actually have as our temperature. Now, when you factor in the wind chill, much different factor. That's going to be because of the wind that we have outside. Here's a look at what it feels like, what you feel outside when you step out the door. Way into the negatives across Northwest Arkansas, anywhere between -5 to -15 there in Bentonville. Across the River Valley, we feel about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than what it actually is out there. 0 to 15 out there this morning. Again, this is going to be more of a factor for you going outside rather than those crews. What they're worried about is what the actual temperatures, what the surface is as well, to try to get whatever precip we have on the roadways melted using their certain treatments that they have and then scraping that almost ice off the roadways that we have right now. We have those alerts in place from the National Weather Service out of Tulsa and Little Rock all the way out until Thursday because of how cold it's going to be. Now, while those wind chill values is what you're worried about, how it's going to feel outside, that is going to be at the brutal level at least through Thursday morning. By the afternoon, we start to get a little bit warmer, a little bit more comfortable, if you want to say. It's still going to be bitter cold outside. But when it comes to the actual air temperature, we don't climb above that freezing point until we get all the way out into the weekend. Northwest Arkansas, the rest of the day today looks like this. Not comfortable at all. We're starting close to -15 in some places in Northwest Arkansas. Lots of cloud coverage throughout the day. The warmest we'll see is around -1 to 0 when it comes to what it's going to feel like. If we get some peaks of sunshine, that could help melt some things away as well. Across the River Valley, a different story. A little bit more sunshine hopefully breaks through with those wind chill values close to 10 by this afternoon. Overall, it's still going to be bitter no matter where you're waking up this morning. We have another cold day for tomorrow. We'll talk about a warm-up coming for early next week, coming up in just a bit.
All right, thanks for that, Stephen. Well, with these temperatures and with that winter weather that we saw, it's created quite a hassle for people on the roadways. So we're checking in with the expert, Dave Parker from RDOT, and we want to know what it's looking like out there for
Yeah,
people.
definitely. And Dave, we just want to check in with you. The stuff that you guys have put out on the roadways, the treatments, we know you've done that. With these temperatures continuing to be below freezing, is that hindering those efforts to melt it away?
No, not hindering it. It just means we have to shift to different things. Normally, we use the salt brine, what we used on Sunday, Monday to pre-treat. That's when temperatures were, still relatively normal. Now we're talking 5 degrees, 10 degrees. So we've moved to that purple salt, the magnesium chloride mixed with the beet juice. It takes that freezing temperature, from 20 degrees down to about 5. So it will still work in 5 degrees. It will slowly melt it. Then we come through and plow it. But any way you cut it, it's going to be a long, long day. I think we'll make a little bit of progress today, even more tomorrow. But it's going to be Friday before things thaw out. I mean, we didn't have this back in the January storm. We had, relatively, 30, 32 degrees, right? At a decent level. This is tough. It's a brutal cold out here to work in, to be in.
Have y'all seen any major incidents or impacts so far in the last 24 hours, Dave?
I mean, the interstates, here in Memphis over to Little Rock been pretty tough. Interstate 40, at least 12 accidents there. We've had, jackknife tractor trailers, that sort of thing, and that's what you don't. That's why you don't need to be out unless you're an essential worker, because some of those accidents take 2, 3, 4 hours to clear. You imagine being stuck in your car 2, 3, 4 hours, especially if you're low on fuel. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely not. Thank you so much, Dave, for being with us here in the morning. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. And what he said is right. I mean, you're going to see those snow plows, the crews out there every couple of miles. They're going to be doing their job and fill that tank up this morning.
Yeah, for sure. And keep your distance from those workers as well, because they're just out there trying to do their job, and you don't want to cause an accident just trying to get around them.
That's right. Someone else out there doing their job and doing it well. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert. He's out there in the 5 News Storm Chaser. What are you seeing now, Scott?
Well, let's start with some good news. I don't know if I'm allowed to give awards away, but we're on 5+ and I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to do. I want to give away an award for best road conditions across Northwest Arkansas. It goes to the city of Pea Ridge. Look at these roads. My, oh my, we got into city limits and it was just impressive, the work that was done here. And to make matters even more interesting, Pea Ridge actually had some of the higher snowfall totals. Now look, make no mistake about it, it's slick in spots, but I've seen more pavement in Pea Ridge than I've seen across all of my travels in Northwest Arkansas this morning. Taking a live look here, 94 headed towards the east. Really, really impressive road conditions here. Now, with that said, on our way in, we did come across a gentleman who actually ran off the road last night. He had to sleep in his car overnight because he couldn't get a tow truck. He expected one in the next few minutes. So, wow, those are one of those stories about having an emergency kit in your car and being prepared to have to stay out in the elements. You hope it never happens, but we rolled up on him. He was good. He was in good spirits, but he had slept in a sleeping bag in his car overnight off in the ditch, hoping to get pulled out by a tow truck here real soon. So for the most part, roads are in pretty rough shape across Northwest Arkansas. Here in Pea Ridge, I'll tell you, the exception to the rule. Looking really good here. We're finally up to speed. Still a few slick spots out there. You're going to want to take it slow, even if you are in Pea Ridge this morning. But overall, things are pretty decent here. We're about to start working our way back into parts of Bentonville. Want to check out western Benton County as well. That's one of the parts of the area that I've not made it to just yet. Things are really slick. Had a lot of snow last night, and it looks like probably during the onset of that event, either there was a little bit of freezing rain, much like what we saw in the River Valley, but it's also possible that some of the chemicals melted a little bit of that snow early. But at some point, the snow rate started to overcome the ability and the effectiveness of that chemical. And so what happened was there was a thin layer of ice on a lot of the roadways across Northwest Arkansas, and then that snow kept coming down. So there's a snowpack on top of a thin layer of ice. It's just a recipe for some issues. Not only do we have numerous accidents, you've got a lot of cars that, just like that gentleman that ran off the road. Unlike him, though, they were just left abandoned. So you've got some issues out there. Most of 49 is passable to those that are in a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicle, but even then it's not great. In fact, it's far from great. And then you start to get on some of these hills and you've got a few of those additional slick spots out there. These hills and these valleys in Northwest Arkansas, it's one of the best parts of this area, but it certainly makes travel even more interesting. Right now, it looks like most of the road's clear, and it is, but there are some ice patches, some black ice that's not necessarily just super obvious. You're going to want to be mindful of that. A couple of other things to keep in mind if you do got to get out and about. Maybe you get some cabin fever. I get it. You're going to want to venture out. You definitely put some distance between you and the car in front of you, and if worse comes to worse and you find yourself slipping and sliding, the key is to don't panic. Don't slam on the brakes. That's just going to make it worse. You want to tap those brakes slowly and try to turn into the skid. So that's going to help you break that spin out. Otherwise, you're very well going to find yourself off in a ditch. Coming up on this bridge here, of course, as you would expect, always is the case, bridges and overpasses go first. They're slick. Looks like they've put down some salt treatment on that to help give you a little bit more traction. But I'll tell you, as the sun has risen here in Pea Ridge, things are absolutely gorgeous. Nice sunrise. Roads are in okay shape. Elsewhere, not exactly the case. So we're going to make our way back towards folks to the west, check out some roads on the other side of Bentonville. And you guys just holler at me anytime you want to. We'll check in with road conditions wherever we're at. For the meantime, though, we'll send things back to you.
All right, that sounds good. Hey, Scott, real quick before you go, you had mentioned a little bit earlier when you were out there on I-49 that you guys were going about 20 miles per hour. Is that sort of the standard, except for Pea Ridge, of course, but is that the standard miles per hour for folks?
Yeah, that really was for most folks, the smart ones. But man, there's some bozos out there, just some absolute boneheads. When I tell you these roads are slicker than snot, they are. And when you're going more than that 20 mile per hour range up and down 49, you're just putting yourself at risk. You're putting everyone else at risk, including the road crews and emergency personnel who are out just trying to take care of folks. 49's rough. I'll tell you, it got rough yesterday and it didn't get any better. It only got worse overnight as that snow continued. We're talking a really thick layer of snow, and keep in mind, like I pointed out, under that snow is a thin layer of ice, and so it's not good. 20 mile per hour, 30 tops, where you get those improved areas, but just as soon as you start to see a little bit of road and you can start to see those markers, it goes right back to just completely snow covered. And not just with a little bit of snow, we're talking 2 to 3 inches on these roadways, and that's the case really up and down most of 49.
All right, thanks so much for that, Scott. And you know, yesterday traveling I-49 there in Fayetteville, you know how they say get behind the snowplow, right? Because they're paving the way.
Yes.
I think people took that literally, and there were some that were right up against the snowplow. That's not the place to be.
No, and
Not that close.
we didn't see any snowplows out yesterday, and we were driving, but just the amount of people that were following closely to any car. And we saw people swerving in and out of lanes, not purposefully, just like accidentally doing it because they went too fast. So definitely be careful out there, because those were cars that were 4Runners, trucks that have that 4-wheel drive or have that all-wheel drive.
Some folks need that reminder a little bit more than others. Let's check in with 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley, who is in Washington County. She's been hanging out with the road crews there. Morgan, what's it looking like?
Well, guys, I don't know if you can hear what it's sounding like in here. It's a little bit loud, and that's because we're getting these trucks ready to go here, and that's a good thing. They need to get back out there on the roads, because as we've been telling you throughout the morning, first thing we told you was that road conditions in Washington County were very rough, and they're continuing to work around the clock on that. Now I'm here with County Judge Patrick Deakins. For people that are just now tuning in, what's the latest update for the road conditions here?
It's been an exciting morning for us. We just got done with shift change here. The road conditions are very poor. You know, there's going to be snow on a lot of the roads. Even the main thoroughfares are still going to be snow covered. We're asking people to stay at home if all possible, to give us an opportunity to work over the next 24 hours.
And this truck behind us, they're working on this, and this kind of just shows just how tough it can be in these really cold temperatures for the crews. What is that like for them when they're out in these really sub-freezing temperatures?
Absolutely, even your viewers can imagine it. There's a big difference between 30 and 0, and so what we're dealing with right now is 0. That's very hard on our men and women. It's also very hard on our machinery. So all day today we'll be doing repairs like this to make sure the dump trucks, the ice slicers are out on the road, treating the roads and trying to make them in better condition.
And you guys have really been emphasizing for people to really probably best thing to do is stay home if you can. But I remember last time we had a winter storm, there were a lot of people that were getting out, abandoning their cars. What do you have to say, just advice surrounding that?
Yeah, if you can just stay off the roads for the next 24 hours, that's really going to help us. By the end of business today, day or dark tonight, we'll know much more in focus of what the next few days looks like. If you can give us the ability to work on that, that'd be great. Anytime you abandon your car, of course, then that's an obstruction in the road that we have to work around. It helps us, and we can move a lot more efficiently if we can avoid that at all costs.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to continue being out here again at the Roads Department as those updates start to come in from the crews that are out there right now. So we'll keep you updated. For now, back to you.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Morgan. And he was right. I mean, those roads are snow covered. They are slick. We have Sebastian County Sheriff's Office reporting vehicles in the ditch and even accidents this morning. So as folks are waking up, we're seeing a lot more happen out there.
Yeah, and the good thing is that a lot of schools are out today because of that. Even some businesses closed. And so we want to remind you, Bentonville, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Rogers, Springdale, and Van Buren all having snow days. You can scan that QR code right there at the bottom of your screen to see the full list of closures today.
Yeah, because it may be likely the next day or so. Some schools may continue to go virtual or stay closed, like in Oklahoma. Several districts there have virtual learning days. They include Roland, Pecola, Poto, Salsa, and Spiro.
Well, and there's a lot more to think about than just parents driving their kids to school. You've got new drivers, 16, 17 years old out there, along with kids who would have to stand at the bus stop when it's this cold outside.
Oh, yeah. And how do you dress for this weather, right? Whenever it's below freezing like this, you can bundle up, but I don't think you can get warm enough.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many layers. I walked in with the sweater, my dress, snow boots, thick socks, coat, earmuffs, gloves. I was still cold.
Absolutely. One more time, though, scan this QR code if you want to keep track of those closings and delays across our area as we go through this winter weather event. You scan it there, and we'll send you the directions and the link of what will be closed and what's delayed.
Well, we want to take a look at some of the photos that have been coming into our newsroom that you've been sending in. Look at this little bunny hitched a warm ride to the repair facility at Brown's Collision Center in Bentonville. It says the bunny was fine and dandy.
Yeah, that's
it was
good.
hiding from the cold.
Yeah, he just wanted a warm ride in was all, and thank goodness, he made it safe. That's what we want. That's our goal today. And some more pictures of just the road conditions, which, are a little bit rough out there. We're giving you some live looks this morning.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
That is a beautiful shot. When you see the downtowns, this is in Fort Smith here, when you see the downtowns or you see the lakes, you just think, oh, it's beautiful winter weather,
Yeah,
right?
it really is. But you can see like some icy patches there on the road. So just a reminder, be careful out there. We can't say it enough.
I think I could sit on that porch right there all morning drinking
I don't
some
know.
coffee.
It's a little cold too. Maybe if you have a space heater right beside you.
That's in Madison County, which is a beautiful part of Arkansas. I think we should call those people up and be like, hey, can we come over and hang out on your porch today?
As long as they have the warm coffee, some chili, and a little heater out there, I'm in.
I like that. All right, text us your photos. Maybe you go out and you build a snowman today, or your kids are out there playing, your pets. We want to see them.
Yeah, 479-785-5000. Also include a short message letting us know who took it and where the photo's from.
All right, we want to give you some wide range of coverage here. Let's go down to Fort Smith to find out what the conditions are looking like there as folks are waking up.
Yeah, that's where we find 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer. Good morning, Lauren.
Good morning, Tiffany and Joe. Here in Fort Smith, we're along Rogers Avenue, and we're not seeing too many really impactful things here just yet. The roads, there's mostly big trucks, big SUVs out. Seeing some plows go by. There's an RDOT plow. The roads are looking not too bad here, but officials are still warning you to maybe stay home if you can. I know the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office did say that there were some accidents. Joe said that there was a car in a ditch. So again, if you really don't have to get out, you probably want to just stay home. I want to talk more about how cold it is out here. We're talking a lot about the roads, but it's freezing. We got out here around 5:30 this morning. Honestly, it wasn't really feeling that bad yet, but now it's getting really, really cold. My toes are definitely cold. I have my hot hands. I've been warming up in the car between live shots, and it's really, really cold out here. So if you are planning to come outside, layer up. I can't stress that enough how cold it is. Multiple pairs of socks, multiple gloves. I'm wearing a lot of different layers. It's still really, really cold. So definitely make sure to bundle up if you're coming out here, or if you're just staying at home. That sounds ideal to me. You guys talked about chili and a space heater. That sounds perfect to me. So I would just stay inside throughout all of this and avoid even coming outside in this freezing weather. We're gonna send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right.
Come on, Lauren, join us. She said she wants the chili, the space heater, all of it. We'll all go.
I think so. I mean, that's the idea. I mean, right? That's what folks are looking for today. Staying inside if you can.
Oh, yeah, make the cornbread, too. Jalapeno cheddar, that's the best.
I like that. All right, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Scott
Words
Culver.
are hard when it's this cold.
I think so. We've been talking about this for a while. 5 News storm chaser out there. What about you, Scott? I mean, you're looking for the chili, the warm place to get in from the cold today?
That all sounds great, but honestly, I'm having a blast out here checking out road conditions. Unfortunately, I've seen a few more accidents. We're kind of between Little Flock and Rogers right now, and just past someone that probably a two-wheel drive passenger car couldn't make it, kind of slid off into the ditch. Those issues are going to be a little bit more calming. Looks like we're moving now a little bit closer into Rogers here as we make our way a little bit further in back into central Benton County. Roads are just in really bad shape. Peter Ridge was the exception, but the reality check for a lot of other folks is roads are just really tough, especially those secondary side streets. So here's the thing, if you need to get out and about, the interstates, they're terrible, but they're passable with a high degree of caution. The problem that a lot of folks are going to face is just getting out of their neighborhoods, getting to the interstate, getting to those major thoroughfares. That's going to be your problem. Everything looks just like this. It's completely snow covered. At best, you might have a little bit of a lane. And if you're lucky, maybe they've put down some salt to help you get a little bit more traction. But the fact is, most of these roads are slicker than a buttered biscuit. We're passing Daisy BB gun up here, just for some context as to where we're at on the east side of Rogers. And this is really very symbolic of pretty much all the roads across Northwest Arkansas this morning. I know you get into the River Valley and we had a little bit more of that freezing rain initially. Things struggled to convert over, and then late last evening, 10 o'clock to midnight, we transitioned over to a little bit of snow, and so that's going to be an issue there as well. Accumulation high or low, roads are going to be certainly on the slick side, especially across northwest parts of the state. Look, road crews, we've seen them out and about. They're using plows, they're using road graders that you typically see in those rural dirt roads. They're using those to try to clear off some snow, but there's a lot of it, and it's just going to take some time. They're focusing on those major thoroughfares, those interstates, main roads. Even then, it's going to take them several more hours to get those in even decent shape, much less good. And then they're going to start moving over to those secondary side streets to try to get you out of your neighborhood. So it's going to take some time, folks. If you can, and I know we've said it a lot, if you can stay inside, awesome. Some folks can't. That's a real reality here. They got to go to work, or they got to get out and about. So if you're one of those folks, we get it. Just be careful. Use some caution, take it slow, lots of distance between you and the car in front of you.
Yeah, very great advice. And we were just wondering, Scott, I mean, could we give you our Starbucks order?
Or
maybe
some
you drop by
breakfast,
some coffee?
since you're already out on the road.
Maybe you get yourself one too.
Well, to be quite honest, I did. I was really looking for a locally owned coffee shop. Yeah, I'm always aware that anytime I put out a bad forecast, that there's going to be some small businesses impacted. So all jokes aside, and I'm a little ornery this morning. I haven't had a lot of sleep. I'm irritable, and I know I'm my hillbilly's showing a little bit. But on a serious note, these locally owned businesses, small restaurants, they're going to really struggle the next few days with business. So to all that to be said, I tried to find a locally owned coffee shop, couldn't find one. I did find a Come and Go over in Bentonville, and they were Big 5 News viewers. So shout out to the ladies at the Come and Go over in downtown Bentonville. Got us some hot coffee. We're jazzed up. I'm highly caffeinated. The Crocs are locked into 4-wheel drive just in case we need to push this storm chaser. So we're doing good out here. If I can find you some coffee, I'll bring you some. If not, I left the coffee pot going last night. So there's some in the break room, maybe cold.
We want a latte, Scott, not last
cold
night's
coffee's not a bad thing either.
I think we already drank that coffee
Yeah,
last night.
for
That's
sure.
gone.
I'll see what I can find. Right now, though, I'm struggling. Downtown Rogers, lots of things are closed.
Okay, we get
Gotcha.
it. We get it. We're just giving you a hard time.
All right, you guys be safe out there. We'll check back in with you here in just a little bit. All right, let's send things over to Stephen right now for an update on the weather and traffic.
Yeah, we're going to be providing updates on weather and traffic throughout the day. Scott's mentioned it several times. Northwest Arkansas, a lot of those tricky roads out there across the River Valley, a little bit of a different story where we had a lot of that freezing rain, a lot of that sleet, and then we finally transitioned over into some snowflakes. Still, those road conditions not great outside. I'm going to step off camera here. We've been looking at some of the accumulation that we've had across the area. Obviously, the headline is going to be different story depending on where you are. So this is kind of where we're thinking, based off the reports that you guys have been sending in, of where we landed for accumulation across the area. Northwest Arkansas, Benton and Carroll, parts of Madison, parts of Washington, extreme northern parts of Washington. Generally, you are on the higher end of that accumulation, right around 4 up to 7 inches of that snowfall is generally what we're seeing of those reports coming in. Now again, with the crews plowing that snow off the roadway, it may be hard to find some of those higher end snow totals. Once again, what's also made it difficult to record these snow totals is the wind blowing that snow around. Kind of makes it difficult to, are we going to our break now? All right, our 5+ viewers, we're gonna be back on just a little bit. All right, let's get a check of the road conditions out there this morning. Got one accident there near Tawnytown. Can pull up this camera here. This is Arkansas Way Station. You see one tow truck there. Looks like cars off the side of the road. Overall, crews responding to it. That's a good sign there. When we take a look across the area, 72 going up to Pea Ridge. There's another accident in and around that area, southbound near West Fork. Another accident has been listed. And then brand new, this one's near Van Buren. 2 accident icons there. I don't like to see that. Unfortunately, that's reading as a 2-vehicle accident there near Van Buren. If this camera shows it, that's a little bit too far. Whoop, there we go. We can see there. Looks like maybe some tricky conditions when it comes to the side roads. Still dealing with the fact that while we got accumulation of that freezing rain, you got some of that sleet, and then we got that snow there in the river valley, just a little bit of it. It's still causing some really tricky road conditions when it comes to all of that sticking on the roadways because it's so cold outside. 2 things I want to show you here, the difference between current temperatures and what it feels like outside. Current temperatures, this is for those homeowners out there worried about, do I still need to drip those faucets? Absolutely, yes. Got those temperatures anywhere between around 0 up to 10. Northwest Arkansas, 10 to 15 is what it actually is across the river valley, but of course, different story when it comes to what it feels like out there this morning. This is a look at those wind chill values, anywhere between 0 to negative 15 in Northwest Arkansas. Opposite direction for the river valley, 0 up to 15. We're going to be continuing on 5 Plus at least for the next hour or so, providing updates throughout the rest of the day today. And let's just stay tuned.
Well, hey, welcome back. Thank you for sticking here with us on 5 Plus for our continuing coverage of this weather impact alert.
Yeah, we'll be here live until 9, tracking the impacts where you live. So, of course, we want to know a little bit about those impacts, Stephen. The weather, super cold out there, but the snow, the sleet, all that, it's done.
And it all plays together, right? Well, we had the snow, we had the freezing rain yesterday. Now it's done. The issue is that it's frozen to the roadways. We've been seeing it all morning. These crews are doing a fantastic job working around the clock, trying to get everything back open and running smoothly. The issue they're running into is that since it's so cold, it is hard to get that snow ice mixture off the roadways now. It's going to take a little bit. Unfortunately, we don't have the help of a lot of sunshine today either. And unfortunately, we're starting to see more of those accidents as we start to get a little bit more in the time of the day where people are going to be out on the roadways more and more often, just past 8 a.m. now. Got a few accidents to talk about quickly. We'll start north to south, 72 going up to Pea Ridge there, accident report there. A lot of hills, a lot of curves going through 72 as you get out of Bentonville there. We work a little bit further south near Springdale. That's we got another one of those accident reports. West Fork, we've been dealing with that accident for a while. And our brand new report just next to Van Buren there. You can see those 2 accident reports there listed as a 2-vehicle accident. I'll show you that camera, kind of highlighting what those road conditions are like. Again, main highways, interstates, better later on today. I don't want to say that they're getting any good shape right now. Dealing with a little bit of just slowing down right now. Maybe not be able to see that camera. Overall, what you need to know is those accidents widespread from northwest Arkansas to the River Valley. What you see there is those blue and pink, purple lines, basically showing all those roadways right now covered in at least some snow, if not some ice and snow mixture there. Different story across the River Valley where we had a lot of that freezing rain, that sleet. Eventually, by the evening, we transitioned over into some of those snowflakes very late at night, waking up with a little bit of that snow accumulation out there this morning. The problem is, no matter what precip you got, it's all frozen to the roadways now. That's causing for not great road conditions, even on the major highways and interstates, nowhere near where we need to be right now. Those, you can imagine, those side roads out there this morning, not great either. All right, let's take a look at back what we were talking about before we took that break to cut in for CBS. Kind of a rough estimate of what the accumulation looked like across the area. We talked about northwest Arkansas, where we had a steady day yesterday of constant bands of snowfall working in and across the area. Now, once you got across the River Valley, that's where we had temperature ranges right around 33 to 36 for a long period of the day, which made it come in the way of some freezing rains, some sleet. By the time we got to the evening hours, it was well cold enough now that we finally worked in a decent band of some snow. So accumulation for the snow aspect, a little bit on the left side, anywhere right around an inch, maybe up to 2 inches in some places of that snow accumulation. Overall, most of it in and around I-40 and south came in the way of that freezing rain, came in the way of that sleet. No matter what, though, waking up this morning, it's all frozen on the roadways. That's what's causing a lot of those issues. And the other issue leading to them not getting cleared up maybe as fast as you're usually used to, you say the snow ended at this point last evening by midnight, over 8 hours ago at this point, and I still see a lot of snow on the major roadways, interstates. It's just difficult to get it off of that roadway now. They're putting down that brine, what Dave Parker has been calling that purple salt, a combination of different chemicals to try to melt it off of the roadways first, and then they'll bring their trucks in behind that and try to scrape it off as best as possible, at least get one lane open, and then we'll work to multiple lanes, and then the side roads eventually get some treatment as well. Current temperatures out there when it comes to what it actually is, not great news. Northwest Arkansas, anywhere from 0 up to 10 is what the actual temperature is, 10 to 15 across the River Valley. So yes, obviously cold out there, but this is a factor for those homeowners, for those crews out there as well. Do they get a little bit of help with some temperatures today climbing close to the freezing point? Answer is no, unfortunately, where we're going to be seeing a lot of it and not a lot of sunshine today either. Unfortunately, a lot of cloud coverage building in. Not going to help out melting anything. And again, when it comes to temperatures climbing above freezing, we got to wait until the weekend before we get that. What's more important for those kiddos, what's more important for the parents out there, if those kiddos are wanting to go outside and play with what little snow we have in the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, you get a little bit of that snow to mix in there, maybe playing outside today. But bundle up is the story, right? Wind chill values anywhere from 0 to negative 15 out there in Northwest Arkansas, across the River Valley from 0 to 15. Today is cold, yes, but tomorrow when we're waking up with wind chill values with a range of -5 to -20. So those school districts out there that will be making that tough decision today of do we take another day off tomorrow? I imagine what those conversations are going to look like. One, are our roads anywhere close to being clear? Unfortunately, that may not be the case for tomorrow, but also what we have to worry about now are all those kiddos at the bus stop. Is it going to be too cold for them with wind chill values anywhere from -5 to -20 tomorrow morning? We'll try to show you a little bit more information on what tomorrow may look like. As for now, we'll send it back over to you guys.
All right, thanks so much for that, Steven. We're going to go ahead and get a check Those roads out there, giving you an up-close look at what it's like. So if you have to get out, hopefully you don't. If you have to get out there, you'll know what you're up against.
Yeah, we've heard from RDOT over 2,200 workers are out there trying to clear these roads. Scott, you've been driving on them all morning. How are they looking?
Looking rough. We've seen those crews, and that's not to say they're not working hard. They just have a tall task ahead of them. We're on 265 traveling south, just south of Pleasant Grove in Rogers. I want to show you what the roads look like from the Storm Chaser. This camera sits up top, and I'm gonna zoom in on the roads just a little bit. And the detail here is these roads are really buried under a thick layer of snow, and below that snow there's actually a thin layer of ice, a little bit of a glaze out there, and that's causing some slick spots in of itself. You really feel that when you start to go up and down some hills. But this is typically a 4-lane road. You got 2 north, 2 south, and you just can't really see much at all. There's no markers, there's no lines. You're just hoping that you're kind of in the best spot where some of those grooves go. Roads have been rough. An absolute winter wonderland all across the area. We are blanketed in several inches of snow all across parts of Benton County. Roads, with the exception of Pea Ridge, are in pretty rough shape just about everywhere you go. We're now entering in to the north side of Lowell. You can see the population sign right there. As we move into Lowell, roads are just as bad. Several inches of snow here on top of that thin layer of ice that sits below the actual snow. Seen a few folks out and about. Lots of cars ran off in the ditch, abandoned cars. Some recent accidents that have happened this morning as folks are trying to venture out and about. Occasionally you see a little bit of sunshine. I'll pan up there. Mostly cloudy skies, unfortunately. Even with that little bit of sunshine, what we're going to notice is temperatures are just so darn cold today that sun's not going to make much of a difference. Occasionally you can find some salt or some sand that they're putting down just to kind of help with some traction, but even then it's not really helping a whole lot out there. It's cold as well. Boy, our temperature sensors on the car reading in the low single digits. Wind chill values, of course, even lower than that. So it's not necessarily one of those situations where you want to get stuck out and about. We did come up upon a gentleman who got stuck last night. He had to sleep in his car, but he said, you know what, I'm from Michigan. I have to plan for this, I always have. And so he had a sleeping bag in his car, which helped him stay warm into the overnight hours. A tow truck was on his way, finally able to get to him. So that's some good news for that gentleman. Looks like we're actually coming up on what may be a truck off on the side of the road up here. We'll see if we can get a little bit closer and see what the situation is. Again, we're in Lowell, 265. Traveling southbound. Not sure if he's run off or if he's just pulled over to be pulled over. Big old truck, so if he wanted to get out, he probably could. Looks like he might just be parked for the time being, although that looks like it was left there last night. So maybe they did have some issues last night, and hopefully that fellow is going to come back and get his truck here real soon. All right, that's an update of roads here in Benton County. We'll check back in here in just a couple minutes.
All right, thanks for that, Scott, who's given us a great look at what the roads are like in northwest Arkansas. But in the River Valley, the Fort Smith area, some of the county rural areas, it was a bit different. We had more sort of sleet and ice mixture than snow. So we certainly want to give you a look outside there this morning.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer has been there overnight, is there this morning. And Lauren, you said y'all didn't get quite as much snow as we did here, but it still is slick out there.
Yeah, that's right, Tiffany. We've been out here since about yesterday morning around 11, and we kind of saw the progression of what happened here in the River Valley. It was mixing from rain to freezing rain to snow to sleet. At some points, we would look up in the sky and be like, what's actually coming down? We couldn't really figure out what kind of precipitation was falling. But I will say last night around 8 o'clock, once the sun went down and things got a little bit colder, then the snow really started to fall. We didn't get a ton of snow like you guys are seeing up there in northwest Arkansas, maybe about 1, maybe 2 inches like Steven said, but still kind of blanketing the roadways, blanketing the grass. The roads are pretty slushy. I wouldn't say that they're super snowy, but definitely have some slush on them, maybe some ice in some spots. I know that in the rural parts of the county, county road crews were out there pre-treating the roads, but I know that there has maybe been some accidents out there on those county roads because of some ice. So if you are coming outside, take it slow, but As I said before, just a few minutes ago, it's freezing out here. I have my hot hands, I have my hot toes on. I just had to change my shoes because my toes got so cold. I have my Uggs on now, and hopefully they're going to be circulating the heat a little bit more, but it's freezing out here. I wish that I had some like face covering because I feel like that's really the exposed skin is really what's hurting us right now. I wish I had some more gloves on as well. So if you want to stay home, it's a perfect day to do so. Like you said, sit by the fire, make yourself a bowl of soup or chili, have some hot chocolate. Sounds like a perfect snow day here in the River Valley to me. We're going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks for that, Lauren. Go inside, get warmed up there. We don't need our feet cold. That's
absolutely
the worst
not. Those
right
Uggs will
there.
do wonders. I already know.
Oh, you bet. This is a live look right now here across our area. And the National Guard has been deployed to help motorists that are stranded along the interstates across the state, all during this winter weather event. Now, to give us an idea of what that mission looks like, we want to check in with Colonel Joe Lynch.
Yeah, he's the public affairs officer for the Arkansas National Guard. And Colonel, we want to know if you've heard of any reports of them helping stranded drivers this morning.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for letting me tell a little bit about our story. We have had our crews out. We're still deployed across the state, working with the state police in our just assisting them with what's going on highways. And overnight, I know I spoke with our teams that are working out of Fayetteville and out of Fort Smith, and we've had several instances where we've helped stranded motorists who've either strayed into the ditch or into the median and just kind of help them get right. So it's been particularly middle of the night. We had a lot of contact folks who just kind of got out of control on the vehicles. So hope we get them in a good place.
Yeah, we definitely know, people are trying to stay home if they can, but there are some folks that just maybe they have to go to work, they have to get out there. What is the plan moving forward? How long do you think the National Guard will be out there to help folks in need?
We'll have a little bit better idea of, we have a morning meeting here in just a little while where we're just kind of assess what's going on, see what the state police need. So as long as the state police and the governor wants us to be involved, we will be. So I don't know if that'll continue into today. It depends on the road conditions and the clearing of those roads as to whether or not they're going to need us or not. But we're here as long as the state needs us.
And so what does y'all's day-to-day look like right now? How do y'all patrol the areas? Do y'all go where you're called, or do you kind of just look for those situations?
A little bit of both, actually. So if the state police needs us at a particular spot, we will go. We're in contact with them. We have radios in our trucks that we communicate directly with the state police. But typically, we will patrol the main roads, particularly in that area, like I-49, I-40. We'll have our crews go out. We have we patrol with 2 vehicle teams, and we'll just drive slowly up and down the highway and just see if anybody needs some assistance. So we'll pull over, help them, check on them. In one case last night, a delivery driver ran out of fuel. He had a fuel can with no fuel in it, so we helped him get to a gas station, fill that up, and get his vehicle filled up and back on the road again. So any way we can assist, we will.
That is amazing work. Thank you so much for sharing that mission with us. Colonel Joe Lynch joining us here this morning from the National Guard. We'll check back in with him in the next half hour. But right now, let's go ahead and take you out live to 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley. She's been hanging out in Washington County today.
Yeah, she's been there with the road department. And Morgan, we want to know, what are things looking like for them this morning?
Well, they've been busy this morning. There's been a lot going on here at the roads department, but there is some pretty good news. I'm here with Tad Sowers, and you were telling me that you've heard an update from them that what they've been doing so far this morning, it seems like it's working.
Yeah, so we just got an update from some of our plow trucks, and they're saying the material is really coming off the road nicely. We're able to get more of our ice slicer product down, and we're seeing more and more of that melt off. Now, that's not to give your viewers a sense of false security. It's still, the road conditions are still really slick out there, but it's good news for us, and it really helps raise the morale of the crews that what they're doing is working.
Yeah, so we know there's so much left to do, so to just feel like you made a small dent in it is probably a great feeling.
It really is, and the biggest thing, is the more of this material we can get off of the road, the more or the less we'll see refreeze overnight. And again, it's just bringing that safety quotient up.
Yeah, and I do want to show, because earlier when we got here, this parking lot was just blanketed in white, and you were saying that this is a pretty good example of what it looks like when that ice slicer is working.
Absolutely. So what this slicer does is it actually brings the melting point down so that you can even see behind us there's standing water. It's 3 degrees outside right now, and we've got standing water in the parking lot that has not refrozen. So the material is really great, and we've got people out there that know what to do with it.
And so we've been talking about over and over, emphasizing that though the roads maybe get better today, that in the morning you have to be aware that they're going to refreeze and it's going to be slick again. Why is it so important to keep tackling this throughout all day today and then again in the morning?
So the more work we can do, even if we just help save one person, especially if that person is, an emergency responder, it just makes the roads safer for everyone. So we're going to keep going at this 24 hours a day until the event is over.
Well, thank you so much, and so glad to hear that there's some progress being made that we can see today. And we'll check back in with you guys in just a little bit, but for now, we'll send it back to the...
All right. Thanks so much for that, Morgan. We sure appreciate it. Now, we do have some accidents out there on the roadways. We want to go ahead and take a look out because there is a truck that has turned over on I-49. And we're going to show you that here in just a second. We're going to pull it up. But in Sebastian County, it's sort of the same story there along I-49. A lot of wrecks coming in. That's why we're checking in with emergency management.
Yeah, we want to know kind of what are y'all doing moving forward to avoid this happening throughout the rest of the morning?
Yeah, good morning. So, stepping into 9 a.m. this morning, we are starting to see the sky clear up a little bit, not much, but we're hoping for more sunshine throughout the day. I know that we may not get out of the 20s. It would be great if we could, get up into 30 plus temperatures, but that's going to be our worst enemy today because right now we have a lot of snow-packed areas and ice patches on our roadways. Last night, we had a chimney house fire, and on the way back from that was about 1:30 a.m. this morning, and we seen 2 Humvees from the National Guard patrolling Highway 10 and heading towards 71 last night. So very thankful for them. But and seeing and understanding the temperatures throughout the day, these roadways will probably continue to be ice covered and snow covered. Most of the day, the products and the chemicals that are out there, just like that was shared from Morgan, that is working. But it was going to be very detrimental if the sunshine is out. That just means more roadways could be cleared and ready. The plow trucks here in Sebastian County are out this morning. They're actually going to be probably 2 more hitting the roads in the next couple hours. That way, as it does thaw and actually kind of become that slush is what we hope, we can actually push that off the roadway. That's the goal today.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of work still ahead. That shot that we were just showing over the top of you there, Travis, was actually in Crawford County where a truck had rode over on the interstate. And that's similar to sort of like what we're seeing in Sebastian County as well. Moving forward with emergency management, how many days do you guys expect to sort of keep an eye on this? Do you have crews on standby? What is that emergency response looking like?
Yeah, that's all that above. So we have a lot of information that's being shared, through our department, but also just the readiness of our emergency response agencies, EMS and fire, rural fire, and just talking about that truck on the interstate there at Van Buren, Crawford County area. Just know that when we see vehicles in the ditch, when we see vehicles stalled out, even on the roadway in one of the lanes, or a vehicle accident like this here in Crawford County, just understand that there's going to be crews out there trying to get there as quickly as possible, but it may take some time because of these road conditions. The very focus of as we commute and get to our destinations is that when we come across incidents like this, or even our road crews that are being out there, take extra cautionary actions and safety first, as far as don't brake excessively, don't accelerate excessively on your gas pedal. So just know to try to take those cautionary actions. Go ahead and make sure your lights are on. Those hazard lights might need to be on as well, just that way we can really see you from behind. as you start to move and go past these accidents. Days ahead, the temperature is going to be our worst enemy. As we get into the overnight hours, we know that we will have a lot of areas of refreezing occur. And then into tomorrow morning, we're going to have some of these same similar issues that'll on the bridges and overpasses. It's probably going to be our biggest concerns over the next 2 days.
All right, and Travis, one last question. When it comes to just emergency response, you mentioned y'all had a house fire last night, and I'm sure there will be medical emergencies, things like that today. How does this make it harder for y'all to get to those places in a timely manner?
So, some of the protocols that we have for EMS is that we got to be out the door if it's a 911 emergent call within 2 minutes. And so they're trying to make sure that happens, but just know that the distance and the road conditions matters the most on how fast we can actually get to you. And so even with rural fire department members that are volunteer or a combo volunteered paid, in most of rural Arkansas, we have over 900 volunteer fire departments. And so as they get the call, as they wake up in the middle of the night, or if it's during the daytime, they're in their personal vehicles most likely. And so trying to get to these fire stations, and then of course with EMS getting out the door as quick as possible out of these EMS stations, but getting to that destination of where that caller is for that medical emergency or fire or accident or whatever it may be, just know that it may take a little bit longer, maybe twice as long than what it usually will.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that great information. Travis Cooper with Sebastian County Emergency Management. Thank you for being here. Let's check in with Stephen for a look at that weather.
Get to cold. We're talking about those wind chill values anywhere between -5 to -20 tomorrow morning. Obviously, the story is going to be the cold. I want to point your attention to something minor, right, to think about is that we got some cloud coverage out there right now, and it is bitter outside. The air temperature in northwest Arkansas is 0 to 10. So with that extra cloud coverage comes a little bit extra moisture. Don't be surprised if we have a few of those flurries flying around. I just saw Morgan's camera. She was out in Washington County, maybe seeing a few of those flurries here and there. But overall, I think there could be a chance that we see a quick few bursts that wouldn't lead to anything in the way of accumulation. But if you do hit the roads this morning, you got the snow on the roadways already. And then maybe since it's so cold outside, you could see just a few more flurries here and there throughout the day today. Again, want to highlight the fact that this is not going to lead to anything more in the way of any accumulation. It's just going to be some flurries flying around out there. The accumulating snow is done across the river valley. Got a little bit of that snow last night, but overall, a lot of it was that freezing rain. A lot of it was that sleet before we eventually transitioned over into those snowflakes. Again, of course, bringing you to the attention, if you do want to head out this morning, it's bitter outside, bitter cold. Got those wind chill values anywhere between 0 to -15, northwest Arkansas, 0 to 15 there in the river valley. Of course, that cold is going to continue, though, for tomorrow morning as well. This is a look at midnight tonight, and then we get to that bus stop time, around that bus stop time for tomorrow morning. Northwest Arkansas, even if those roadways are clear for enough for maybe some schools to try to go back to school, they got to worry about how cold it's going to be. Wind chill values into into the negatives across northwest Arkansas, into those single digits and negatives across the river valley. Good news is, by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, maybe seeing those wind chill values climbing back up anywhere between 10 and 20 degrees for tomorrow. Of course, we don't break above that freezing point until we get later on into the end of the week and especially into the weekend. Great news for us, though. By the time we get to early next week, we're talking about those temperatures climbing back up into the 60s and 70s. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back right after this.
Oh, thank you for joining us here for this live cut-in. We're going to go ahead and check in with meteorologist Scott Covert, who has been out there all day doing his job as chief out there on the road. He's got the coffee, he's going, but
as people are waking up, we want to know, are the roads changing any?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I've been all over Northwest Arkansas this morning. Interstates, highways, secondary side streets. The Interstate I-49, let me show you what it looks like. I'll tell you this, while it's still bad, it's slicker than a buttered biscuit, it's a little bit better than it was a couple of hours ago. RDOT plows have really made this one lane a little bit more passable. Is it great? Gosh, no, not at all. It's slick out here. There's no question about it. Still got a couple of inches of snow, a little bit of a light layer of ice underneath that snow. But it's getting better. Those RDOT crews, city crews as well, working really hard to keep at least one lane passable as we are now entering into parts of Springdale. You can see, yeah, it's not so great at times, but then those plows come through and they'll open us up a little bit more of a lane. I would expect that progress to continue, but really slowly. Unfortunately, as Steven's about to tell you, Mother Nature is not going to make those road crews' job any easier today.
Road crews really doing their best out there right now, but unfortunately, as much as they're trying to work with, people still have to head out into the roadways. With the roads being in the condition there are, several accidents in and around Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. This is just outside of Van Buren. You got a fire truck there. You got tow trucks just now pulling away. The good news is I think they're trying to clear up that accident, but overall, it's been there for at least the past half hour or so. Unfortunately, between Mulberry and Dyer, you've got 2 more accident reports there on I-40. You're working in Northwest Arkansas and just south of West Fork there, another accident that has been listed there for about an hour to an hour and a half or so. Outside of that, the good news is that accident that was up to 72 there in Pea Ridge was cleared up. But here's that Arkansas Way Station. They still have that accident icon there, but that looks pretty cleared up to me. That was there on the other side of that median. So again, and that's a great shot right there. That's just by Springdale, and you can at least see one lane open there. That's some good news for us. Maybe those crews trying to make some progress the rest of the day. I want to take your attention to, of course, the wind chill values. You got those kiddos out of school today. They're saying, Mom, Dad, please let us outside play in the snow a little bit. Make sure they're wearing the hats, gloves, coats, everything like that. This is the wind chill, Northwest Arkansas. The rest of the day today, you got anywhere between -15 to 1 is maybe what we see by the time we get to this afternoon. Across the River Valley, a little bit more sunshine may help us out, but overall, those wind chill values just reach up close to 10 degrees today. We'll continue our coverage on all of our streaming platforms till 9 a.m.
Hey, welcome back to 5 Plus on this weather impact alert. Today, we're sort of giving you a tour around the area, letting you know what's going on out there. Hopefully, folks are getting to stay home today.
Yeah, hopefully, because if so, we're a little jealous of you with your hot chocolate and your chili. We were just talking about how good some warm food sounded right now.
Yeah, it's important to remember that today is a fun day for a lot of those kiddos. Parents get to stay home with them as well. Cold day. A lot of them maybe picking out their favorite movie today, getting to watch it inside with mom and dad if they get to work from home today. Others, though, opposite end, they got to go out to work. We have those essential workers that are doing a great job today, whether it's RDOT crews, whether it's nurses and doctors heading out to the hospitals. Lots of crashes out there. Hopefully, everybody's staying safe out there. Unfortunately, now we're getting to sunlight. What are people trying to do? They're trying to get out into the roadways. Unfortunately, that's leading to more accidents out there. We take a look at RDOT doing a really great job of not only getting those roads trying to get cleared up, but also reporting back to us where are those snow-covered roads, where are those accidents as well. A lot to cover here when it comes to these accidents. We take a first look, and let's just start with all the blue and pink lines you see. You see this every time we have a winter storm. You know what this means. This means that we have a lot of those snow-covered roadways still, and unfortunately, since we've been showing you this map since earlier on this morning, we haven't seen much in the way of that progress, haven't seen much in the way of those lines being removed. What's that telling us? That we still have a lot of those snow-covered roadways, ice across the river valley when it comes to a thin layer of ice and then some of that snow on top. Let's go over where these accidents are right now. Just south of West Fork there, you got one accident. I believe that's heading southbound. Got a new accident there in Greenland. I actually know there's a camera nearby there. Let's see if we can see what's going on in that area. That camera not turned just yet, but man, can you imagine driving through Greenland area with those conditions? I mean, I wouldn't even call that one lane open at that point. I can imagine very tricky in and around that area. Crews are really trying their hardest though to get that cleared up. It's just going to take a while. We push further south, I-40, a little bit of a mess right now between Dyer and Mulberry. There's two accident reports there. One of them reading as CMV rollover. I believe that's a commercial vehicle is what they're trying to say. Not sure exactly what that looks like. Another one is disabled vehicle out there as well. You move towards Van Buren. This camera has been kind of showing us what's going on in that situation. Things moving a little bit slowly because of the cold weather that we have right there. Maybe we get a view of what's going on. All right, we'll move on there. Just to be cautious out there along I-40. A little bit different story, not as much as that traction. What little there is when it comes to some snow, mainly dealing with a lot of the slick conditions when it comes to a mix of everything on those roadways that are frozen over right now. Another thing I want to draw your attention to, of course, you know it's cold outside right now, but don't be surprised, especially in northwest Arkansas, that we could see maybe just a few more of those flurries flying around. Keeping a close eye on radar here, and this is what it looks like for the most part. Partly cloudy skies. Yes, we have some sunshine trying to peek out. And if we do get some of that sunshine to peek out, that's some good news for us. What that would mean is maybe we get a little bit of help for those crews trying to clear up the roadways. I'll tell you what, Dave Parker explaining what they're putting down on the roadways, that pink salt, really interesting process there. But all it's trying to do is melt that first, so they can take their trucks and go over it and try to scrape some off of the roadways. I'm telling you, I'm looking around RDOT. Are road conditions fantastic? No, but I'm starting to see more and more of those one lanes open, at least on 49. At least one lane will improve to multiple lanes by the time we continue throughout the day. All right, now taking a look at radar. Again, everybody's clear, but don't be surprised since it is so cold outside. Northwest Arkansas temperatures, actual air temperatures, anywhere between 0 to 5 degrees right now with a little bit extra cloud coverage. What does that mean for you? A little bit extra moisture as well as possible. If we do start to get some of that cloud coverage to roll back in, bring in that extra moisture, we could see maybe a few more flurries flying around out there. This is not going to lead into anything in the way of more accumulation, but radar highlighting maybe a few flurries could be flying around across northwest Arkansas throughout the day today. As you try to hit the roadways, you may be saying, hey, it's trying to snow a little bit there. Don't worry too much, though. It wouldn't cause much in the way of any more of that accumulation to our totals that we already have. We had a rough estimate a little bit earlier. I can pull up that map for you. Really different story between north and south of the tunnel. North of the tunnel had a lot of that snow throughout the day. A lot of that snow that came originally as that snow and then lasted as that snow through the evening hours. South of the tunnel, though, we got a little bit of a mix of everything, where we got some of that freezing rain. We got some of that sleet and snow and ice as well. Here's a quick look at that accumulation. Based off the reports that you send in to us, northwest Arkansas, anywhere between 3-4 inches of snow, all the way up to 7 in some isolated spots. Parts of Washington, Madison County, as you're driving south, you could get anywhere between 3 to 6 inches of that accumulation. Again, this is all based off the reports sent in from the National Weather Service and the reports that you send in to us here at the station. South of the tunnel, though, a little in the way of snow accumulation, more in the way of that freezing rain and sleet. Doesn't really matter, though. It's all frozen to the grounds now. Now it's just part of cleaning it all up.
Thanks for that, Stephen. Well, with that cold temperature and all that snow, it has caused quite the problems when it comes to our roadways.
Yeah, definitely. We've been checking in with Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert in the 5 News Storm Chaser. He's been trying to keep his coffee warm this morning. Scott, where are you at now and what are you seeing?
Well, we just pulled out of the McDonald's along Sunset in Springdale. Look, can you believe the prices these days? My, oh my, what happened to the dollar menu? Oh, you want me to talk about road conditions? Okay, all right, take a look. Here's Sunset. You're seeing a little bit of that sunshine trying to break through there. It's just covered in snow. This is going to be Sunset at 40th, and there are a few really light flurries trying to fly out there. As Steven said, not likely to amount to any additional accumulation, but certainly something that you might notice if you're taking a peek out the window, seeing how much snow you got. One of the interesting things that is going to make this a unique event to document is we had so much wind last night, especially right out of the northeast, gusting at times between 20 and 30 miles per hour. That caused snow drifts. Not something you see a lot of around Arkansas, so it's kind of tough to get a true accurate reflection of how much fell. Kind of just depends on where you're taking the measurement. From one side of the house to the other, it's probably going to vary, even at times more than a few inches. Roads are in rough shape. They're making a little bit of slow progress, but it ain't fast at all. In fact, I just saw a Facebook post from Prairie Grove saying it's going to likely take them longer than they had initially anticipated. Not only do you have a lot of snowpack, you got a little bit of ice underneath that from when things first got going. They had a little bit of pre-treatment on the roads that helped, but then at one point temperatures just dropped so low that pre-treatment turned all that water and that slush into ice. Then we continued to see snow pile up on top of that. So we got a recipe for some slick roads out here. We're traveling eastbound towards Thompson, just passing the Carly intersection here in Springdale. Roads have been pretty rough just about everywhere. We were in up and down 49 all morning long. We got off over on some of the state highways. Those aren't in any better shape. Secondary side streets in our neighborhoods, city streets, those are even worse, and those are likely going to take even longer to get to. Road crews, of course, prioritizing those main thoroughfares. And there's no question they're working hard, but it's slick out here. I've noticed in the last 30 minutes, folks are getting out and about. There's more folks venturing out. If you're going to be one of those that just got to get out, four-wheel drive's a necessity. We've seen a few cars that are clearly just two-wheel drive passenger cars, and they're struggling even on flat elevation. Then you add in a couple of hills and they're really struggling to make it up, and you're really sliding down when you start to go down those hills. So if you're going to be out and about, be careful. Lots of extra space between you and the car in front of you. It takes a little bit longer on these slick surfaces to really brake efficiently. If you start to skid, you start to drift, turn into the skid. Don't try to course correct. Don't slam on the brakes. Don't panic. Go slow and smooth, and hopefully you can get there safely. Gosh, it's also cold out here too. My coffee's cold. Cost of living's high and going up. What happened to that dollar menu?
I know. I missed the breakfast burrito on the dollar menu. That was a good one.
Yeah, you need to bring that back.
All right, thanks for that, Scott.
Well, Laura doing a great job out there driving for Scott. You can't see her there, but she's a good driver.
Yeah, she is. We need her to drive us today. Well, the Arkansas National Guard, they've been deployed to help motorists who probably need Laura to drive them too, that have been stranded along the interstates during this winter weather event. So to give us an idea of what that mission looks like, today we're going to hear from Colonel Joel Lynch, and he works for the Arkansas National Guard. He's the public affairs officer, and they've been out there working hard.
Yeah, definitely. You're looking at an accident right now along I-40. This is in Crawford County there in Mulberry, where there's a commercial vehicle that has been turned over. No injuries, thankfully. But Colonel, we want to check in with you. You told us the last time we checked in that you were going to go into a meeting, sort of get an update and a brief. What does that look like? Do you have any new information?
Sure. Not a whole lot new yet. That meeting's not until 9 o'clock, and we have that one every day whenever we do one of these state active duty missions. So what we'll do is we'll hear from our units that are around the state, kind of what are they seeing, what kind of missions are, what kind of situations are they getting into, and also we'll have a weather brief, and we'll also kind of coordinate with the state police who we're really working with to kind of find out, do they still need us, or how long do they anticipate needing us, and we just kind of adjust our mission accordingly. So right now we're still have about 179 soldiers and airmen throughout the state working with these truck teams, working directly in support with the Arkansas State Police. So I know in the south, where the weather wasn't as bad, they've turned off some of those missions, but up north we're still going with it.
And so can you kind of talk a little bit about the rescues that y'all have had to make? Have y'all seen a lot this morning, and have y'all been staying busy?
most of the things we saw was last night. I'll find out a little bit more later this meeting if anything happened this morning. I know because of the weather and the fact that people are paying attention to what's going on. Not a lot of people out there, so we haven't had to help as many people. But I know what we've seen basically overnight were people who slid off the road into the ditch or into the median, kind of help them get right, and so they can get on their way. And certainly check on vehicles that are just parked on the side of the road and they may or may not have a driver in them. So we go just to make sure that everybody who's in the vehicle is okay, and if they need any assistance at all. So far, it hasn't been anything really serious that we have encountered, but we're there in case something does, for sure.
Oh, that is amazing work. Thank you so much. Crew's doing a great job during this winter weather event. We appreciate you being here with us, Colonel Joe Lynch. All right, we want to continue our impact alert coverage this morning in Washington County, where we're checking in with officials there.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley has been out there all morning talking to road crews. And Morgan, are they making any progress?
Yes, Tiffany, it does sound like they're making some progress, which is great news. When we first checked in with you this morning, it was not good news. The roads were very bad, and officials here have told us that even though the crews are reporting back that just about an hour into what they're doing here to the roads, they're seeing progress, but not to get your hopes up too much, because as we know, tonight it's going to refreeze again, even though they're putting that salt down and making a lot of progress melting it. Another thing I want to talk about is taking a look here at the type of snow we're seeing. We've talked about this a lot too this morning, that it's a very dry, kind of sandy snow, and it just kind of flakes away like that. And if you'll remember the last snow we had, all of us were making snowballs. Lauren had a great snowman. This isn't the best type of snow for those types of activities, which also can give drivers a false sense of security when they're driving, because it gives you more traction on the roads. But like Scott's been talking about throughout the morning, even though there's that layer of that kind of dry, sandy snow that maybe feels like there's more traction, there's still a layer of ice underneath it. So sometimes it can almost be better to have a more wet, slick snow, because it encourages people more to stay off the roads. But people here at Washington County, again, saying if you can stay off the roads today, that's definitely what you should do. And we're going to keep you updated on road conditions all throughout the day. For now, back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Morgan. Well, because of these roads and the cold, school districts across the area closed again today. Bentonville, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Rogers, Springdale, and Van Buren are all having snow days. You can scan that QR code right there at the bottom of your screen to see the full list of those closures.
Yeah, we have several in Oklahoma as well who have decided to take a virtual learning day because of the road conditions and the weather, including Roland, Picola, Poto, Sallisaw, and Spiro. Now, you definitely want to check with us at 5newsonline.com, or you should have scanned that QR code there, because that list, you're going to need it, because we got to check in tomorrow, right? And see if there's any other schools, if they're going to continue to be closed or continue to do virtual days. We'll have you covered definitely on that.
Yeah, you can also just scan that throughout the week. Anything that's closed, delayed, we've got you covered.
All right, let's take a live look outside this morning here at 8:43 on our 5+ coverage. Do we have that live look out there this morning? There we go, which is one of my favorites. The downtown Fayetteville area is just so picturesque, right?
It's so beautiful, and you can tell they've made some progress throughout the morning. We've seen some plow trucks coming through there, I guess trying to clear those ways. Maybe some of the businesses are going to try to open today. This is a live look out in Fort Smith outside of the Marshals Museum. No one's touched that snow yet.
Yeah, definitely. You can see the river there off in the distance. This is one of the best shots right here in Ozark. Yeah, you see the river there as well. You almost can't tell, what's going on around us with all the road and winter weather. It just looks like a beautiful, beautiful sunrise to wake up to. All right, let's go ahead and take another look at some of those photos that you guys have been sending into us here at the station. A lot of snow photos coming in. Some of you having a lot of fun out there.
You might be wondering what that bunny is without the snow. It's a bunny that hitched a ride in that car trying to get out of that cold. I don't blame it right there, but you can see a lot of slick roads out there, a lot of snow. That picture up there in Fort Smith with the lake, absolutely beautiful.
It is, and you see the rocking chairs in the middle. Those rocking chairs almost look inviting, but with these temperatures,
nope.
It's like, nope, not doing that. But I don't know, maybe a cup of hot coffee or hot chocolate might make it worth it.
And a heater and a coat and earmuffs and all the things and all the pets.
Look at Chunky and Fort Smith there, the second one from the left.
I love Chunky and Fort Smith.
He's just staring out the window, having a good old time. I think he wants to
said,
go out and play.
I don't know. He's like, maybe not.
Oh, just enjoy it from inside,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hey, that's a good idea, Chunky. There, you know what you're doing. All right, we want to see more of them. Share your weather photos and even videos with us.
Yeah, you can send those to 479-785-5000. Include a short message letting us know who took it and where it is.
All right, we're going to take you back down to the River Valley and Fort Smith to look and see if the conditions there have changed. We're checking back in with 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer.
Hey, Tiffany and Joe here in Fort Smith. We're still seeing a pretty steady amount of cars out on the road here on Rogers Avenue. People are definitely taking it slow. Definitely some slush on the roads still. And Sebastian County emergency crews say that they are getting calls of accidents as well as cars in ditches. And they say the roads are very, very slick. So just make sure if you are getting out there, take things slow. Or if you don't have to get out there, maybe build a snowman. I don't know. Last time we had a winter storm, I built a great snowman. This one, not my best effort, but I think he's still really cute. Or she, maybe, I don't know. I think she's still really, really cute. With a little cowboy hat, have my badge on, made from some things in my purse. Very, very cute here. Definitely not the best snow for making a snowman, but I made it work. I had to see what I could do here. It's definitely very dry snow, not the same as the snow that we had in January that was very, very wet. Good for snow, good for making snowballs. Definitely a lot drier here in Fort Smith. We're gonna send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, I love her ideas. Every time
I
she's
loved
out there,
her
she makes the best of
snowman.
it.
It was
I
so
know.
cute. It was a snow woman.
Where do you get a hat
Snow
like
woman.
that?
I don't know, but she
Teeny
was
tiny
rocking
hat.
it. Yeah, a little rocking it.
All right, let's go back out with Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert, who is keeping an eye on the road conditions.
Yeah, Scott, we want to know where you're at. How are those roads looking out there?
Yeah, good morning to everybody. I'm on Thompson in Springdale, traveling northbound in the 5 News Storm Chaser. Getting to check the road conditions out here. It's pretty uniform. They're just bad. There's really no other way to put it. I described it as slicker than snot. Someone wrote in and complained about it, so I'm not going to say that anymore. It is slicker than a buttered biscuit. I've said that one a time or two. I probably should come up with some new ones. How about this one? It is slicker than a pork chop in a skillet. Not as good, is it? Yeah, okay. All right, let's get a check of road conditions out there. It's rough. There's a thin layer of ice pretty much everywhere across northwest Arkansas. There's one of 2 reasons why. One, it was probably just a mixture of moisture that the pre-treatment was keeping as moisture, but inevitably that temperature dropped so rapidly that things began to freeze up. And then we added a few inches of snow on top of that. That snow has compacted. It's a drier snow, which does give you a little bit more traction, but then you hit that ice underneath it, and then you just got issues out there. It's pretty tough. Even when the elevation isn't changing with hills and valleys, just traveling flat, you've got some issues, especially on those 2-wheel drive cars. We're in a souped up Jeep that would make any redneck proud. Big old mud tires, lots of traction. And at times we've had some issues slipping and sliding, and this is about as good of a snow rig as you're going to find out there. So just keep that in mind if you're one of those folks that have to venture out and about. Clouds are breaking. In fact, there's some beautiful blue skies northwest Arkansas. That's going to help a little bit, but given the temperatures, the sunshine's not going to do a lot. And then even if it does help for a brief period of time with those temperatures set to drop again overnight, it's just going to get slick out there once more. A few more folks out and about here in Springdale. I think there's a few folks getting a little bit more comfortable. I'll tell you, most folks taking it slow as they should. Every once in a while you'll get a bozo that thinks he can drive the speed limit, and that's just putting themselves in danger as well as everybody else out on the roadways. Passing Nils Cafe here on the left, the legendary Nils Cafe. I'm reminded of these events that really impact small businesses. And today may not be the best day to get out and about and go shop small and shop local, eat at a local restaurant. But hopefully in the days to come, when those road crews can make some progress, we'll get out and support those locally owned restaurants. It's a tough fit for them when these weather events happen. So those are some thoughts here live in Springdale. Photojournalist Laura Castleman also working alongside me, doing a great job this morning. Maybe I want to point something out before I send things back to you. It looks like the stoplight might be out here coming up. We're on Thompson traveling north in Springdale. This is going to be at Bacchus and Sanders Avenue. So it's on a hill, which is going to be a little bit problematic for some folks. Definitely one of the reasons you want to take it slowly. I know we had some power outages earlier in Washington and Benton County. They were pretty small in nature, which is some good news. Also looks like we've got a salt truck right here, as well as a plow. Is that a city? Looks like a city truck working to clear off some areas. Lots of road crews out and about. It's not that they're not working hard. It's just that their task is really, really hard. 68 power outages in Washington County. That's down from what it was earlier. Still though, 68 homes without power. It's a cold morning to be without power. Good news is there are some warming shelters. You can text WARM to 479-785-5000. That'll send you a list of some warming shelters. Just be safe if you're going to find yourself driving to one of those. Looks like they're probably going to put that plow down if I had to guess. Adding some salt also to that hill. That helps with some traction issues. There's no question about that, but boy, it doesn't help enough. I think it's just going to take some time before we really start to see these roadways improve. That's a look at things right now in Springdale. We'll send things back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much for that, Scott. And even though they don't have the snow plow down, usually sometimes they're spraying stuff out of the back of the trucks, laying down some of that traction. And he talked about the pole there being out, the stoplight. We did have some power outages. The good news is those look pretty minimal now this morning. The most, Washington County, 68. It's Pike County that has about 300, which is south of Scott County. So we're doing pretty well on power outages.
We have so many crews that are out there working so hard to keep everything smooth this morning.
Absolutely. Let's check in with Steven for the latest.
Yep, we'll start off with that Fulbright camera there. You can just see how we've been showing this over and over again, trying to get at least one lane cleared in that area. I think there's a little bit of progress in and around that, but you get around that curve, that's where you can run into some trouble as well. We'll take another look at a camera. This is along I-40 between Dyer and Mulberry there, still trying to work on that accident as well. Looks like that vehicle is completely turned over on its side, so it may take a little bit before that accident is cleared up. We take a look just across Northwest Arkansas in the River Valley, what RDOT is reporting those roads to be like, and unfortunately, you already know the answer to this. Not much progress when it comes to removing any of those blue or purple or pink lines from the map there, just because we still got a lot of snow-covered roadways, a lot of ice-covered roadways as well, with a layer of some snow on top of that. That comes across the River Valley, where we had most of that freezing rain and some of that sleet last evening. I want to point your attention to something. I've been seeing some cameras across Northwest Arkansas where you see a few flurries flying around out there. Don't panic. It's not another round of snow. It's just a few bursts of some snow, because air temperature out there right around 1 to 2 degrees in Northwest Arkansas. So any of that cloud coverage that works in, that's going to carry a little bit extra moisture. And of course, we could see a few bursts of snow here and there. Here's where my concern is now as we wrap things up here just shortly. By the time we get to this evening, well, first of all, wind chill values in Northwest Arkansas going to be more than likely staying in the negatives all day today, if not just reaching up to 0 across the River Valley. The best we'll feel today is around 10 degrees. But once we get to this evening, that's where we plummet once again. Cold air comes rushing in. And by the time we're getting into tomorrow morning, those wind chill values going to reach the coldest so far out of this winter system. This is a look at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, what it's going to feel like if those schools decide, hey, maybe we can get back based off the road conditions. The other factor they're going to be dealing with is what it's going to feel like when it's bus stop time out there. Across the River Valley, we could see anywhere from 5 to -5 wind chill values. Across Northwest Arkansas, that's where you could find wind chill values, what it feels like outside tomorrow morning, anywhere between -5 to -15. That is some dangerous cold out there. It is going to be important to cover up that skin as best as possible. Of course, for the homeowners out there, the actual temperature don't climb up. It doesn't climb up until by the time we get to the end of the weekend. And then we can stop dripping those faucets, everything like that. Weather impact alert continues, not only for today, but for tomorrow as well. Road conditions, keep up to date with that. We'll be providing you updates, but also the dangerous cold out there. Do me a favor and bundle up as you head out the door. We're going to take a small break, and then we'll be right back to wrap things up for our coverage from this winter storm.
Well, it is a weather impact alert day here at 5 News, and we're going to go ahead and send it out to Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert. He's been out there all morning checking on the road.
Yeah, definitely. Where are you at now, Scott, and what are you seeing?
Yeah, still in Thompson in Springdale. I've been all over Northwest Arkansas. City streets, state highways, interstates. Roads are just bad. There's really no other way to put it. Slicker than a buttered biscuit out there. You can see these pickup trucks really struggling to make it up the hills, especially. Got a couple of stoplights that are actually not functioning correctly here on Thompson in Springdale. And so as you approach those, you want to stop slowly. You don't want to slam on those brakes, but then unfortunately, it's kind of tough to get some traction once you start having to move back up those hills. Maybe it's by design that those lights are functioning the way they are, so you don't have to stop and try to regain traction. You got a thin layer of ice, and on top of that, you've got some snow in Northwest Arkansas, so looks are a little bit deceiving. While it looks dry and powdery, there is a layer of ice under it. In the River Valley, more ice with just a little bit of snow on top. No matter where you're at, no matter how much accumulation you had or didn't get, roads are pretty slick out there. Be careful, take it slow. Put a lot of distance between you and the car in front of you. We've seen numerous accidents this morning, cars abandoned on the sides of the roads. It's going to take some time before we can get these road conditions to improve despite the best efforts of our local road crews.
All right, we take a look at those road conditions across Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Unfortunately, what you see there, multiple accidents in and along I-40 and along I-49 as well, working north and south. Got 3 accidents there. Another accident between Mulberry and Dyer is what they've been clearing up for the past a little bit now. Again, of course, what I do like to see from Scott's camera there is at least a little bit of sunshine peeking out where he's driving in and around. I'm taking a look across cameras across our area. Still seeing lots of cloud coverage out there, yes, but overall, a lot of sunshine peeking out as well. If we can stay like that, that is going to help try to melt some of this away. But overall, air temperature is so low outside, it's going to be difficult to see any type of melting outside. Going to really rely on our crews clearing up today. A few things to talk about here. Again, no longer we're looking at anything accumulating when it comes to snow, but you could see a few flurries flying around Northwest Arkansas. Got a little bit of that extra moisture trying to work its way in. Because it's so cold outside, it would come in the way of a few flurries here and there. Don't worry about any additional accumulation, though. Really, the concern is now is those wind chill values, what it feels like outside across Northwest Arkansas, around -10 to -15 out there right now. Across the River Valley, 0 to 15. Again, the concern is also in play for tomorrow, where we'll have wind chill values similar to this, and that's going to continue to slowly warm up every day through the weekend. By the time we get to next week, back up into the 60s and 70s.